and gentlemen, adventurers, it's so great to be back with you on the Derwent. We are bringing Comanche home. We are not far from the finish line now, and they are smoking up winds. Now, it is nighttime, as you can see. It's the early hours of the morning on the 28th of December, and the 77th edition of the Rolex Sydney Hobart, unless something goes majorly wrong, will be won online honours by Andoo Comanche, owned by John Winning Jr. or Herman. We're just going to call him John or Herman from now on, as he likes it. We're going to turn this light off for you now, ladies and gentlemen, and show you the action of Andoo. And a big thanks to Stephen Shields and the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania, who have given this amazing vessel. I mean, they've been supporting us for so many years to bring you this finish. So I just want to say a big thanks to them first and foremost before we get going. And of course, thanks to Musto for powering us for this edition. Let's go lights off and get full focus on Comanche as we head into the finish for this edition. There's still a plethora of spectator boats and finish boats though. And we are smoking. Hey Shieldsy, how fast are we going, mate? We'll get a speed dial up for you. 14 knots we are doing to try and keep up with Andoo Comanche. Now, Andoo Comanche was built and originally called Comanche, and it is something that is quite close to my heart because I remember chasing it, and the first race it ever did was the Rolex Sydney Hobart. They're actually hoisting a staysail now by the looks, or another jib. Maybe they're going up a size. I can see the furling jib going up. So we're primarily on cam 1 here, just for Andrew, who's back in the beautiful Somerset on the pier, making sure that we can bring you this action. Now, I just want to give a shout out to the rest of the crew who are on board. They have been training so hard for this. And so a shout out to John Winning Sr., who's on board with his son, and as well as Richard Allison, who's doing his 15th Hobart, Pablo Arati, Julian Crescent, Antonio Gervais, Mons, Nathan Deere, Peter Dean, Damien Durchon, Fraser Edwards is filming with Heckler, and they're filming an amazing documentary. Sam Fay, Philip Jamison, Sevi Jarvin, Campbell Knox, Antonio Mons, Sammy Newton, and I hope that Elizabeth is watching this. A shout out to Liz. Sven Run now, Justin Slattery, a legend. He won the Volvo Ocean Race with Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. Harry Smith, Edward Smythe, Matt Stenter, GT, and I hope Vic Price is watching this. GT is doing his 26th Hobart, and he actually won online honours last year with Blackjack Yachting, so he's got some good luck there. Andre Vorster, absolutely phenomenal crew. And as I mentioned, this boat was actually built to break records. We're just showing a few of the spectator boats behind Andoo Comanche now, and we'll do our best to come into the finish. If you do have comments, I promise I'll check them later, guys. They're actually unfurling a second headsail now, so they're going double-headed into the finish. They should go one and in here on starboard tack, I think. And we've got a media boat just coming a little bit wide, but this is absolutely phenomenal heading into the finish here. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a camera cat inside of us just rocking and rolling, and they're shining a light up the sail as we see that code unfurling. Brilliant, brilliant action here out on the Derwent. We're going to go forward a little bit and get some vision. Here you go, bringing Andoo Comanche into full flight here. She is an incredible yacht, as I mentioned, built to break records originally. She's won this race multiple times on line honours under separate owners. We're right alongside this beautiful boat now. I'm going to see if I can get some vision. Got the bowman with a red light up on the bow there. Absolutely glorious, and I hope you guys are able to see as much of this as we are. It is dark though, and I apologise for that, though I don't apologise for the work of my amazing team. We have Wendell on stills and on cam, and we also have Marine trying to film here. We've got a boat coming in on the hook, and some big lights coming out now as we get closer to the finish, and some big waves consequently as well. Crazy action here. How far to the finish you reckon, Shieldsy? I might actually 5 miles maybe to the finish. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, so great to be out here. I've missed this, and I've missed the full swing of Hobart as well. I have to say the village was absolutely pumping today. And we did a little highlights reel earlier on just what's been happening in the rest of the race. So we might actually, while we're just coming into the finish, and we've got a few boats inside us here, we might actually throw to that highlights reel from today. Okay, no worries, we won't throw to that. We're going to stay with this speed actually, but just look at the waves in here. Now we've got a bit of light as well. Marine, would you like me to take the cam so you can film a little bit, or are you good? Yeah, that's good. Yep, okay, we're going to swap. Thanks, Marine. 3, 2, 1, gotcha. Alrighty. Excellent. We're just on the outside hook here. We're taking turns on the River Derwent. And again, a big shout out to the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania and Musto Australia for powering this coverage here in Hobart. And of course, in Sydney, we managed to talk to over 18 teams before the start, and then in our 90-minute dock walk. Way wide here, but you can probably see the massive boats here. As we were approaching the Armada, there were just a massive green boats with everybody heading towards us. We're probably 3 boats wide here, and when they go to tack, if they have to tack, we'll call boy room, I think. We're on the inside. And I'm going to give you some warning. They're luffing a little bit now, Shieldsy, so they've probably got a little bit of a header. So we're standing by here, and effectively all of the boats with orange flags, which you might be able to see flying, we're allowed inside the buffer zone around them. And we will, tacking now. And we're basically providing the buffer to Andoo Comanche here as we tack over. Great job, Shieldsy, in the midst of the head of them here. So we might put brakes on and let them catch up. I a handle on the back of my wet Musto, but it's absolutely glorious. I'm here. Oof, they've gotten a soft there. That fat bottom girl has gotten really sticky down in the water. And I know we've got a light shining right on us. That's probably off the Heckler Media boat. But again, lovely to have you all joining us this evening out on the Derwent. Oh, gosh. Here we go. They're just pulling that amazing headsail on now. So beautiful. Look at the shadow on the jib. Can you see the shadow on the jib? There's somebody. Oh, golly. We got a ship up here as well, apparently, Shields is saying. There we go. Back on course now. And they're absolutely starting to rip. Going to find a position to brace. Beautiful. Just a little bit of a soft patch there. And we're back in business, heading in towards the finish. Probably about 4 nautical miles to go. A bit less, maybe? Yeah, pretty much. About 4, yep. Shieldsy, my Hobart dad and local gurus on this. Never misses a trick. Knew when to nap today. Absolutely nailed it. And in we go. Getting my skiing in. 12 weeks since back surgery today. I'm allowed to sail now. Woohoo! And doing my moguls. All right, big wave coming, ladies and gents. Woohoo! Right on the hip of the coppers. A big shout out to all of the police and all of the marine safety workers that worked so hard over the holiday period. May I just say, it's not an easy job trying to control all of us lovers of the water. And we thank them for their service, and anybody who is serving over this holiday period, and always we thank you for your help to keep everybody safe so we can have such beautiful recreational hobbies. Check this out. What a beautiful boat here, Andoo Comanche. If you have just joined us, we are live on the Derwent, bringing Andoo Comanche home to take line honours in the Rolex Sydney Hobart 2022 edition, the 77th edition of the race, the only edition that's been missed since the inaugural event was 2020. Last year was a bit of a, I mean, we still got to have the race, but it was very subdued due to COVID. And now this year, I feel like we are back in full swing. A number of international competitors and teams. Lovely to see them back. Copy that. And we are holding on. Shieldsy getting us back into the ultimate position. And Marine's holding one leg. Wendell's holding my arm. Woohoo! Shieldsy's just ripping us in here to get the ultimate position. You can see in here. Absolutely glorious. Got the Rolex boat just inside of us, and a big thanks to Rolex for their support of not only this race, but of course yachting in general. Their footage is just glorious, and if you haven't seen some of the highlights and packages that have been coming out on the Rolex Sydney Hobart page, I encourage you to have a little bit of a look. They really do make our sport look glamorous, but I also like to make our sport look real. Check this out. I'm not sure if you can see the weight coming off our boat while we're trying to keep up with Comanche here. And I should say Andoo Comanche because you might be able to see or just make out that Andoo on the mainsail. Looks absolutely glorious. A few flashes from on board the Rolex boat, and they will light it up as they come into the finish on port tack here. And while we are scooting along, I'm going to just read you well, I'm not going to read you, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this boat and just where it came from. Well, thank you, Marine. Marine has taken over the vision so that I can just have a little bit of a rest here, but Wendell is taking photos as well. I've got such an amazing team this year with Andrew back in the box as well. And here we are. Fantastic action. We're going to stay with this, I think. And as I mentioned, I followed, I'm going to say inception because I'm not sure if you can conceive a yacht. But when this yacht was first made, American Jim Clark and Aussie wife Christy bought her for her first race, which was the Rolex Sydney Hobart in 2014. And they finished 49 minutes behind Wild Oats 11 in that edition. And then they won line honours in 2015 after also winning line honours in the Rolex Fastnet race in the same year. She smashed the Transpac monohull record in 2017, and I was on the dock for that as well. So I was there for all those race and record finishes, which was amazing. And she's been pipped a few times, but she's also won this race a few times, and now is owned or chartered by John Winning Jr. Herman. And in their first hit out, having this boat, they took line honours from Blackjack in the Gold Coast race, even though it was a light wind race, and then took line honours again in the inaugural Tollgate Islands race. And Andoo is one of Herman's companies, so it's great to see them getting that recognition. And they've been doing a lot of work and a lot of sailing. And maybe we could actually roll our interview with Herman from before the start while we're heading in here. And we talked a little bit about, actually I don't want to, let's just stay live. I can't see your comments, guys, but I hope you're enjoying this footage that we're bringing to you, perhaps when they're dropping the sails and whatnot. But you can find our interview with Herman before the start a little bit a little bit down on our Facebook page or on our YouTube, wherever you might be watching, or on our Instagram as well. And it's really worth a listen. They've been doing a lot of training, and they've also been encouraging a lot of youth and media to come sailing, which for me is an incredible thing. The more people that we can share our sport with, the better, I think. So got a big light shining from one of the media boats, which will be more than likely Channel 7 or Channel 9 actually going live, and now that light's gone off, so we'll get a bit of a better view now. I really try hard not to shine lights on these guys, and that's for two reasons. One, it's really hard for them to see if we do shine a light on them, and I don't want to do that. And two, if we shine a light and they're able to tell something like that, no worries, it does affect their performance and potential records and whatnot, and especially handicap results. Yeah. So we're probably just over 2 nautical miles now to the finish. And I'm just going to see if I can have a quick look on Facebook now to see some of the comments, if there are any, just so that I can try and keep up to that. The conditions, just so that everybody knows, and apologies that I haven't really mentioned those conditions, it's a land breeze. We actually had a little bit of a sea breeze this afternoon. It's been really hot and unusually hot in Hobart. So now we have about, I'd say, 15 knots of pressure maximum. It completely died out and we saw the river shut down, but the boats continued to rip down the coast in that gradient northerly, even though we saw a southerly sea breeze here this afternoon, but we're back to a northerly gradient now. So it's quite a beautiful breeze, and it's quite warm. I'm not even wearing a jacket out here, so you'll get some beautiful vision here, I believe, with this big light shining, and I'm going to just swap over some marine and get some vision while we're underneath Andoo Comanche here. Absolutely loving this. Gosh, it's good to be out on the water. I get very antsy when I'm on land. You can see a trimmer just down to leeward. I reckon they'll get ready for attack here. You can just see them getting ready to release, even though they're absolutely smoking. I reckon we're doing probably 17, 18 knots here. Oh, they're actually going for the tack now, I think. Yep, through the tack they go. And we're right on the outside, so we'll rip around the outside of them, ladies and gents, and let the other boats go inside us. Oh gosh, it almost won an in. It's very shifty because we're in this gradient phase. So when the breeze is a gradient breeze, is sometimes some instability in it because they're quite small waves for those that are a little bit more technical. So essentially what that means is that the direction of the wind can change quite a bit. And so for these sailors who are on board, even though they're almost near the finish line and they can almost feel that victory, they have to keep concentrating. So that's quite a tough thing on board when you've just done 620 nautical miles and you've got less than 4 to go, and you have to keep concentrating to make sure that you can make it all the way there. You're sleep deprived and you haven't had enough to eat probably, and you really want a beer. But they had to just keep working at it. So I get quite emotional about it, but technically they have just sailed a beautiful race. The maxis have all been on top of one another. You may have seen the start. There were turns and calls for room left, right and centre, because we had the right amount of spectator boats out. We haven't had a big spectator fleet for such a long time for this race. So the whole fleet was condensed into this tiny corridor going up Sydney Harbour towards the north before they then got to turn south, and that's when Andoo Comanche really came into her own in that northerly gradient. And what that means is that she was able to really extend and make the most of her modes, where she really likes to be up on her ear, as you might be able to see now, maximising the riding moment, but minimising the drag and absolutely smoking. And for me, I have been sailing on this boat before in St. Bart with Ken Reid and the original crew, and I have to say that when you are sailing on this boat, it feels like you are flying. And I know that Herman has promised me a sail in the new year because they had so many people going out on it in the lead up to this race, and I did spot off anybody because it's so beautiful when people get to experience our sport and to feel that exhilaration of going so fast that you feel like you're flying, but you're actually on the water, which is an incredible feeling. And if you have just joined us, welcome. We are live from the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania, Shark Cat. And a big shout out to anybody from the home club here that bases all of these boats. And this is the first of 106 still racing. But we also have the Melbourne to Hobart going on, and it's the 50th edition of the Melbourne to Hobart. So I'm really looking forward to welcoming some of those boats here to Hobart as well. Hobart is just such a beautiful location. And I have to say that today it felt like an insane summer's day. I'm going to give Marina a little rest from the rig. Probably 2 nautical miles to go now into the finish for those who might be wondering, and I hope that you are all enjoying this broadcast. Andrew is feeding me the comments as they are coming in as best he can, because he is making sure that all of the feeds can stay live. And we will be on the dock after this to make sure that we catch up with all of your favourites. And I think for me, basically it's just really nice to catch up with these sailors after they've done such a massive race. And technically it's really good for me to talk to them about how they managed to achieve such a feat. And it's beautiful to see them reconnecting with their loved ones. So I have to say that doing the finish of the Rolex Sydney Hobart is an incredible opportunity, and I'm so glad that we get to share that with you this evening.
We are getting closer.
Pardon?
We are getting closer.
Yes. Beautiful.
And the beginning.
Fantastic. To anybody who is joining us from wherever you might be in the world, thank you so much. I have to say that this boat is something else and something special. And I think John Winning Herman said before the start of the race in our interview with him that he has this boat for a short time, not a long time, and he wants to do the most that he can with it whilst he's got it. So I think that the fact that they have been sailing it, particularly they've raced quite seriously up at Hamilton Island as well as all the major offshores. So they really have put the time in, and that's not to say that nobody else or that any of the other maxis don't deserve it, but these guys are coming into the finish in first place, and that is what it comes down to at the end of the day. Every single boat can sail incredibly well, but the Rolex Sydney Hobart is about making the most of the opportunities that are in front of you. So I think that it's like that with any sport, and anybody who is involved with sport at any level will know that what you have to do to win is to sail as near to perfectly as you can for your strengths. And I think that in this race, especially in terms of line honours, and of course we will talk about IRC and overall in the coming days, but for now we're focused on line honours. And for all these boats, it was incredible to see them sailing such different modes to suit their strengths. The RP100s had to go low, and they had to go for that. They had to go in their own race in just the same way that Law Connect had to go and sail their own race. But in a way, Law Connect, by the way, if you haven't seen, they have been streaming the entire race to their YouTube channel, so you can go back and see exactly what it's like to do a Hobart on a maxi. But they love winning the race to the heads, and they did that. They won the race to the heads. So everyone has their goals, and I know that the Andoo Comanche team really wanted to win this race, as do they all, but Christian Beck was very clear about the fact that he would either come second or fourth. Second to Andoo Comanche, and he is in second at the moment, and we will hopefully go and tee up with them. Andoo Comanche is in first. We've got Law Connect Blackjack, and then Hamilton Island Wild Oats is just rounding the iron pot now. So we will try and tee up with them and get as much as we can. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do the Law Connect finish live, but they will be live to their YouTube channels. So I'm going to try and make sure that we get all the dock action with Andoo Comanche, and then we will try and get Blackjack and Hamilton Island Wild Oats coming into the finish if we can make it work, because I do need to make sure that we get some interviews with the winners on Line Honours. And can I just say, Shieldsy here is doing a bloody brilliant job to keep us right in the midst of the action. Yeah. Wow, this looks absolutely glorious, guys. I'm going to try and take a photo with my phone. It's just stunning. I might post it on my story on Instagram if I've got enough signal, but it just is a weapon. It's so glorious. Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this. It looks so good on the phone. How good are phones? I'm just going to go and see what Shieldsy saying. Shieldsy, mate, what you saying up here?
There's a boat up here, dead in this guy's
car. Oh, copy. There's a boat right in his car. Rightio, we're going to have a boat. We're going to intercept this boat in a second. Oh, craziness. Maybe I do a little time lapse. Whee! Oh my gosh, this is just so beautiful. It was really hard for me to explain. We've got Maureen on the camera at the moment. Her and I have been interchanging, and Wendell is shooting stills, and they've not done a finish of the Rolex Sydney Hobart before, so it was really hard for me to explain to them just what this might look like. And this is what it looks like, guys. This is what it looks like.
Yeah, amazing.
And, yeah, it is hard with him.
Like this one's with you in there.
Oh, amazing. Look at these photos. Oh, Wendell, you're my hero. Maureen is my hero too. Her arms are going to fall off later. We're sleep deprived, but gosh, it's worth it. We're so very, very lucky. I can have a turn for you because we're coming into the finish now, so maybe you get ready with your cam. We'll probably get some lights. There's the police boat. I gave the hard-working police a shout out a little bit earlier. But just have a look at this plethora of media boats, everyone trying to get a piece of the action. Just beautiful. You can see in the distance here, that cop boat's actually going up to the boat you spotted, Shieldsy. Yeah. No matter where you are watching all over the world, you know, the first live finish I ever did on my own was to Periscope, and it was in 2015 when this very boat was coming into the finish at a very similar time, and that was, you know, to Periscope, which doesn't exist anymore. It was Twitter's live broadcasting option, and I was on my own in Port, and it was absolutely amazing. And then all of a sudden technology has expanded, and look at us here with multiple cameras and a bigger team. It's actually pretty special for me to be experiencing. Yeah, a little bit emotional. And I'm very happy for yeah, it's quite fun. I've got Andrew in my ear, and I just heard him say something. I'm wondering if there's a comment that he's mentioned. Righty. Maybe we just don't use the data too much. If we can not do that, that would be awesome. I think our audio has just been breaking up a little bit. We're all getting a bit excited on board the media boat and the police boat there, just making sure that we stay on the outer, but we are heading all the way into the finish. Is that a little bit better for you guys? Fingers crossed. I think we're doing a pretty good job here. Big waves here. Yoo-hoo! Is that all good? you have just joined us, beautiful views here. Beautiful views as we head in. Absolutely glorious. Just having a little bit of a look up the track to see if I can see the finish mark. Nothing as yet. Woohoo! Big lights now. Woohoo! No, it's all good, mate. You're all over it. A few wakes here. We're all a few boats wide. Feels like we're doing the Sail GP all over again. I'm in a guest chaser position, and this time we're bringing home Andoo. Just doing a little bit of a reset as we look up the track. And I think I have my producer box back now in my ear potentially. Not sure. Yes, we do. Hello. I want to make sure on the left. Are you watching in the world? I'd love to know where everybody's watching, and perhaps we can have a little bit of a read of some of those comments as we head into the finish here. Whether on YouTube or on Facebook. I hope you've managed to have a little bit of a look at some of our daily highlights reels. For the first time, we're doing coverage in French as well for the Rolex Sydney Hobart. That's never been done before. So if you know somebody who is a sailing to do those translations to make sure that we're bringing them to you. Big lights going on Comanche now as we start to head into the finish. I'm guessing we're within about the oh good, I got her. Gorgeous. And I'm guessing that Channel 7 or Channel 9 are actually live right now because the signal is starting to get quite tricky. So we're just getting some distance to make sure that we can keep some bandwidth for you. You can see there the plethora of finished boats. The drone in the sky too. That's a little bit naughty at night time, but we won't say anything about that. Get some good vision, no doubt, of this armada as we start to hook in a little bit closer. Beautiful positioning here. Hello. Okay. Excellent. So we've had a few comments. Andrew was just filling me in. We've had a few about why aren't we shining lights on the boat. I have spoken about that. One, we're not close enough, so there's no point. Two, there are some people shining lights on the boat now, but they're only allowed to shine them on the sails, not on the crew's faces, because it's just too hard for the crew to be able to see. If you've ever been in the dark and had too debilitating to the sailors if we do that, and we just can't do that. And secondly, if we shine too many lights on their sails and they're able to see at night time what those sails are doing, then it gives them an unfair advantage as well. So we try very hard not any outside assistance, and very the light being shone there, but that's do a live broadcast, and they'll be shining on side of the boat so that hopefully most of the sailors are on the high side. And as we do come into the finish, we will shine lights, and you'll have plenty of time to see them as they cross the line. Sailors, but no, I think it's really a bad thing to shine lights on sailors at night time. So this is the best that you get, and it's better than what's the alternative. So you'll just have to deal, I'm afraid. But thank you so much for joining us wherever you are. And if there's any family or support crew of not just Andoo Comanche, but any of the other sailors who are out there racing now, my love to you, because I know that it's really hard when you're waiting for people to finish a race. I think, firstly, when you have to say goodbye to somebody on Boxing Day right around Christmas, it's an incredibly tricky thing when they're going to do a yacht race. We've got a few waves coming here, guys. All good. I'm on my knees. I'm good. I'm on my knees. Next, it's incredibly tough watching these sailors go into a sport that's not always the easiest thing to do. And then thirdly, it's really hard when you know that sometimes they may not actually make it to the other end, and maybe they won't get the result that they want to get. So a big shout out to any of those support crew. We're coming into the finish now, ladies and gentlemen, and I am going to take this opportunity to get up on the screen. A shout out for all of the crew that are on board again, because we know it's not just about skippers, but of course it is very much about the owners making this happen. Of course, the owner is John Winning Jr., or the charterer, and the skipper, Ian Murray, doing his 27th Hobart, Justin Schaefer on navigation. As we come into the finish, Andoo Comanche takes the line honours in the 77th edition of the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. What a beautiful win. They are absolutely smoking across the finish line. We have horns aplenty. Perfect positioning by Shieldsy to keep us in the midst of the action. Unbelievable. So good. And I'm going to continue to give you a shout out to all of those crew. As I mentioned, chartered by John Winning Jr., with Sailing Master Ian Murray, Navigator Justin Schaefer, Richie Allison, Pablo Arate, Julian Cresant, Antonio Chauvet Mons, Nathan Dean, Peter Dean, Damien Duchon, Fraser Edwards, Sam Fay, Philip Jamison, Sevi Jarvin, Campbell Knox, Antonio Mons, Sam Newton, Sven Runau, Justin Slattery, Harry Smith, Edward Smythe, Matt Stenter, GT, Andrew Vorster, and John Winning Senior, who must be very proud of his son right now. I remember him saying, "I can't believe my son got a maxi." And he also believes that you haven't done a Hobart until it's taken longer than 4 days. Well, this one did not take 4 days. They were well ahead of record pace for most of it. It didn't come into fruition. But there you can see celebratory action on board. Just fantastic. Woohoo! Just join us, Andoo Comanche is the line honours champion for the 77th edition of the Rolex Sydney Hobart. From perfect. Thank you. We're just going to turn it off. There you go. Is that okay? Perfect. And here you have more journos. All of the journos. And if the feed is a little bit jumpy, that's because we have so many people going live. So we actually distance. We need to get a bit of a... Yeah, nice work, Shieldsy. Perfect. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. It seems to be... Let me know when we're back. Hi, everybody. Thank you to get out of there, because all of the mainstream channels have gone live, and so our reception just gets incredibly wonky. I think you saw most of the action there anyways. We're going to go get a nice position on the dock so that we can do some interviews and see the champagne and the trophy. But essentially what has happened here this evening is that Andoo Comanche has taken line honours in the 77th edition of the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. An incredible finish to stay ahead of the three others who are not far behind. They're all around the iron pot. Law Connect is next, and Hamilton Island Wild Oats, and we'll be bringing you as much action finishes as we can over the course of the evening. That will depend on movements and how we can make everything work. And we will also be bringing as many other live finishes as we can. We have Stefan Hair Racing, or Stefan, is it called Stefan Hair Racing? I'm not quite sure, but I think Stefan Racing, I think you'll know that we've been following that boat to some detail. Willow is coming in, URM is coming in, and then of course we have all of the 52s coming in potentially tomorrow afternoon. Will we see an IRC winner out of the 52s? More than likely. The smaller boats are on top of the leaderboard at the moment, but we will see a southerly change tomorrow. So we'll continue to keep you posted, but when that southerly change comes through and how strong it is what is going to determine this race. So whilst we can see Hotspur on the top of the leaderboard, or Mistral's been on top of the leaderboard today, and Sunrise has been moving up and down, the winner of the Rolex Fastnet race, but you know, it is really all going to come down to that southerly front and where the 52s are positioned. I feel Alive is also one to watch in terms of handicap, so we're just going to have to see how it all plays out. But this evening was absolutely incredible. Andoo Comanche so hard for this, and they've been practicing so much, so they really do deserve to win this on a technical level. And emotionally, oh my gosh, John winning juniors just won a Hobart along and his dad. So what more could you want from so I'm not sure how much of that wrap we got. We're back at the dock. We'll bring you more as soon as we can. Thank you so much for joining us. Nick Douglas from Adventures in Sail Girl out. Thanks to all of our